A lot of our code is pretty ancient. And so what I find is that a lot of the business logic has been placed in private methods, which makes it pretty tough to unit test. So take a look at the class that I wrote real quickly here called Freight Sender. It has a public method called calculate shipping cost. And that can be easily unit tested from your unit test project because it's public. But you won't be able to call the private method calculate shipping weight. And so we do have a way to get around that. And it's called using a private object. Private object is part of the MS Test namespace. And what we do is we create an object called a private object and pass it the Freight Sender class. And with the object that we create, we can then invoke any private method that we want. So let's take a look at a quick example in Visual Studio of this. I'll demonstrate how to use the private object to test a private method in a unit test. First off, let's start with our unit test snippet that I previously created. And to save time, I won't type out some of this stuff. I will cut and paste the name of my unit test. In this case, I'm testing calculate shipping weight. And we need a size here. So let's create our freight sender. And let's try and call our private method. You can see here that the only method that we expose is calculate shipping cost, and that's public. And we want to call the private one. So that won't work. Instead, let's create a private object. I'll call it object. And private object takes the object that has a private method that you want to test. And then I will invoke that private method. Now it takes a string, which is the name of the private method. So it's calculate shipping weight. And that method has one parameters. And in this case, it's size. So I'll pass our size. And there we go. And this method will return a double. So let's call it weight. And I'm going to have to cast this as a double. There we go. And I know that the answer to this should be 5. So I'm going to assert that 5 equals weight. And if that's not true, I'm just going to say weight is not correct. I'll just have a simple message there. And let's build that. It builds. And let's look at our test explorer. And I will run that test. And it passes.